Good morning, everyone. I'm Colleen Green, Director of the DC Department of Housing and Community Development. Welcome to DHCD and the Great Ward 8. I'm excited to be here with you today to celebrate this significant accomplishment and milestone of the district's housing goal of 36,000 new housing units. I want to introduce to you Sierra Williams to kick off the celebration, to share her story and her housing journey.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sierra Williams. I'm a single mom of 2 beautiful children, and I currently live in an affordable unit at Spring Flats in Ward 4. From 2020 to 2022, at the start of the pandemic, I experienced homelessness and was at the Days Inn shelter for 2 years. During this time, to my complete devastation, the father of my beautiful children were murdered. We did not know where to turn, but thankfully my case manager referred us to Spring Flats and let me know that I would be able to afford the rent in the absence of a subsidy. Living in the Spring Flats has been a true blessing. We have a spacious 3-bedroom unit, and I am so grateful to remain in the District of Columbia with my children. Mayor Bowser, we're here today to celebrate the countless communities like the Flats that have been built and delivered during your administration. I am proud that the Flats was one of those projects and that I am one of the people who's benefited from your investments in housing. Thank you, Mayor Bowser, for keeping your promise to making housing more available and affordable for DC residents. It is now my honor to introduce you our Mayor, Muriel Bowser.
Let's give Sierra a big round of applause. Thank you for putting 3 beautiful faces to the 36,000. Because that's what we're here to do. And I'm so pleased that you highlighted Spring Flats and Ward 4, which has been like one of my babies for the last 15 years. And now wonderful families live there. So good morning and welcome to DHCD. Let's hear it for the staff here who works day in and day out to make sure that DC families are connected to housing. So Colleen Green, we want to thank you for your leadership. We want to acknowledge that you're in a new space right across the street in beautiful Ward 8. Also near an intersection that we promised to transform, and that transformation is happening. I want to acknowledge that we've been joined by at-large council member Kenya McDuffie. Please give Kenya McDuffie a big round of applause. Councilmember McDuffie is our partner in so much work in investing in housing for DC residents as the chair of the council's chair of the council's Economic Development and Housing Committee, which helps us advance affordable housing. We're going to hear from a few people today, but I do want to make a few remarks because this is a big day. We hit our goal. Five years ago, we came together to envision the future of housing in our city. We talked about the challenges that we were facing and how we would overcome them. We knew in DC and the entire region that we needed to do more than just talk about it. So there is a lot that goes into the equation of driving down the cost of housing. And one piece is very simple. You need more housing. And so especially in cities like DC, where we're a great city, people want to live here. We have good paying jobs. We have great transportation. We have incredible amenities. And so when you have all of those things, the demand on housing is high. And when we came together in 2019, I told you that we can't undo the previous 15 years, but we can double down on what we're doing now. And that's why when I came into office, I doubled our investment in the Housing Production Trust Fund. That's why we looked at how many homes we had produced between 2010 and 2019, and we said that we can double that too. And that's why 5 years ago, we set the ambitious goal of adding 36,000 new homes in Washington, D.C. by 2025. And I said then, I think Councilmember Bonds was with me, if we don't set a goal, we won't meet the goal. And that's why we not only set a goal for the entire city, but we set goals for each planning area. So today, I'm proud to announce the delivery of all of the affordable housing apartments at Terrace Manor in Ward 8, which is a fantastic addition to our Milestone. So I want to congratulate the team at W.C. Smith for getting it done, because it took the entire community to give the renovation and second life that it needed. So how did we build 36,000 new units in 5 years? And for starters, we invested over $1.3 billion into the Housing Production Trust Fund. And most importantly, we got the money out the door. We kept working throughout the pandemic, and we looked at how we could maximize federal relief funding to build more housing. And we kept working with our partners across the district to build, baby, build. We built across all 8 wards. We built at Walter Reed in Ward 4, at Station U and O in Ward 2, at Skyland in Ward 7, at the Westerly in Ward 6, and at the Wren in Ward 1, and Riggs Place in Ward 5, on the St. Elizabeth's campus in Ward 8, and at the Lisner Lewis Dixon Hurt Home in Ward 3, which is our first Housing Production Trust Fund investment in Ward 3 west of the park. And that's just naming one project in each ward. There have been many more. And all said and done, there are now over 65,000 DC residents who are living in their new homes across the city. And I also think it's important to pat ourselves on the back a little bit, especially in this region. Washington, D.C. is home to 12% of the region's population. And over the last 5 years, we have produced 31% of all the new homes in the region, and we produced 81% of the new deeply affordable homes in the region. So we know that we're doing our part, and we're calling on our neighbors to do the same. And when we dig into the numbers, here's what we see. By increasing our housing supply, we've been able to blunt what happened to the price of housing nationwide over the last 15 years. And as we've added 36,000 new homes over the past years, the cost of housing in DC has grown at half the rate of housing nationwide. Hear me well. Because we added 36,000 new units, we haven't seen the steepest increase in the cost of housing as we've seen across the nation, but we have been able to blunt the increase in the cost of housing. Still, we know we have more work to do. Most people want to live, more people want to live in our great city, and that's what happens when you're a world-class city. And we want to make sure that Washingtonians who already live here can afford to stay here, like Sierra and her family, and that our children can grow up and know that they can live and raise their family in Washington, D.C. So we have more housing on the way. We expect also to meet our goal, our sub-goal of 12,000 affordable homes within that 36,000 by 2025. So I want to say thank you to everybody, to the architects, the engineers, the builders, to the care providers, to the DOB inspectors, to all of our folks at DHCD who do the underwriting, and all of our affordable housing partners, including the banks that work with us. Affordable housing is complicated. It's complicated to plan, to fund, to get people in the door, and to keep them in the door. But boy, is it worth it. Is it not? Is it worth it, DC? So with that, I want to recognize first Councilmember McDuffie, followed by our Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, Nina Albert. And I want to recognize that my first Economic Development Deputy Mayor is here, Brian Kenner. Give Brian a big round of applause as well. Kenya McDuffie.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to try to keep my remarks fairly brief, but it's hard to not talk a lot about meeting such a bold goal that was established 5 years ago at a time before people knew what was to come only a few months later. And so I think for me, as the council member representing the entire city at large and chairing this council's Committee on Business and Economic Development, it's important to be here to support Mayor Bowser and her leadership to celebrate such an important goal. So let's begin by once again giving her a wonderful round of applause for all the work that she's put into this. When she established this goal about 5 years ago in 2019, she called it audacious, and yes, it's audacious, but some people I think thought it was unrealistic, right? And unless they could see into the future, they were calling it unrealistic before we got to the 2020 pandemic. And I think once we hit the pandemic, I would think there were people saying, you know what, she's probably not going to make this goal, right? There were a lot of folks who were doubting whether or not you would meet this mark, Mayor Bowser, but because of your steadfast leadership, because of the team you surrounded yourself with, and I want to give a shout out to Deputy Mayor Nina Albert, who's going to speak next. I want to give a shout out to Director Green. I want to give a shout out, frankly, to all the agencies that are represented who were partners in meeting this goal, including some of the folks who are sitting here representing the Office of Planning, representing DC Housing Finance Agency, and representing all the leadership of the District of Columbia who had to come together to double down on their efforts after we entered into that unprecedented pandemic. But ultimately, we got through the pandemic, and the mayor stayed focused on that goal. The Housing Production Trust Fund was one of those vehicles that I think there's been, pretty much a consensus in terms of the need to support the goal. So the council has supported the mayor's goal year after year after year, and even though we've seen challenges financially as a city, the mayor's nonetheless focused on that goal with the council's support, and it has proven to be one of the best vehicles to really fund some of these projects. The mayor just said, I think 81% of the region's affordable units is being produced by the District of Columbia, and I think that's worth another round of applause because of the focus that this city has had, understanding that there are families like Sierra and her two beautiful kids who want to stay in the District of Columbia and can live to be here and stay in the District of Columbia. It is because of leadership across the District of Columbia who knows how important it is, and I have somebody who is a native Washingtonian who's been here for generations to be able to focus on that goal makes me feel even better as a fellow native Washingtonian. So again, I wanted to be here this morning to celebrate this 36,000 units, understanding that the mayor and her team are within striking distance of hitting that 12,000 affordable unit target as well, and I want to be here to celebrate once we hit that as well. So Mayor Bowser, to the team, everybody who's been a part of this, the entire staff at DHCD, because I know it takes a village and it takes committed public servants to get here, and I want to recognize them as well for all the work that they've done. So again, on behalf of the council, as chair of the Committee on Business and Economic Development, I want to thank the mayor, her team, for helping us to get here again. And again, thank you and congratulations again to Sierra for that wonderful announcement and introduction, and for you and your kids being here as well. Thank you all.
Good morning, good morning. So I also just want to acknowledge everybody. I'm just going to spend a minute doing it because it's so incredibly important. You don't achieve a goal like 36,000 new units, an audacious, a bold goal, a big goal like this without a variety of partners at the table. It's incredibly important to thank Chris Donald and the entire team at the DC Housing Finance Agency. It's incredibly important to thank Keith Pettigrew and the team at the DC Housing Authority. Thank you for what you do. I want to acknowledge Tricia Miller and the team at the DC Green Bank for contributing to not just affordable housing, but green affordable housing. I want to thank Anita Cozart and the team at the Office of Planning for also setting goals and for bringing all of the stakeholders together and making sure that we're coordinated. Thank you, Anita. And of course, it goes without saying, we can provide the money, and we have, but it takes partners to build, to manage, to design, and to make sure that the tenants of these units continue to receive a high quality of life. So thank you to the developers, to the architects, to the engineers, to the property managers that are in these properties day in and day out. Thank you all for delivering this goal and maintaining it for us. So I just want to talk for a minute about leadership and how important leadership is. Mayor Muriel Bowser challenged the government, together with the city's housing partners, to think big about how we deliver more affordable housing for our residents. She has moved major transformational projects all across the city. She listed some of them, but I want to add just a tiny bit of color to them. Skyland, we broke ground on the last phase of Skyland, where we're going to be delivering market rate townhomes for sale in Ward 8. The community has been asking for this, and so we're delivering projects that are delivering product type for all different kinds of people. At Walter Reed, we included affordable senior housing, condominiums, rental housing. It's this mix of types of housing as well as types of uses that really is enriching to this community. The leadership and partnership of all of you at this event today has unlocked new opportunities to create new housing that for decades was sat untapped. DC was also the first jurisdiction, or among the first jurisdictions in the nation, to set housing goals by neighborhood planning areas. What does that mean? We now have a goal for Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And it is this mayor who set a system of accountability and transparency so that all of us in the government and you as district residents can say, have we achieved our mixed income housing goals and affordability goals across the entire city? And so that is continuing to challenge us today, and it makes us accountable to achieving those goals. We care about these goals because the people here today who deliver and manage housing are passionate and motivated to provide DC residents with safe, stable, and dignified housing, as well as to keeping more of our longtime residents here in Washington, D.C. We're happy to be led by a mayor who has set and continues to set a high bar for us. So what comes next? We've achieved a major milestone today, and I'm so glad to be here to be able to celebrate it. But we know it's not enough. So going forward, we will be setting new housing goals. We will continue to invest in both housing production as well as housing preservation. We have every tool at our disposal, and we are going to continue to leverage more. So I'm excited to announce that DMPED is deploying our tax-exempt industrial revenue bond program to support the production of more housing, affordable housing. The first project to receive this support is Phase 2 of Ridgecrest Apartments, which is just down the block from Terrace Manor. This innovative, entirely green project will deliver 128 affordable housing units and is being accomplished through a unique partnership between DHCD, our Department of Energy and Environment, DMPED, and the DC Green Bank. It's these kinds of innovative, creative products that is going to allow us to continue to deliver affordable housing in the future. The momentum and availability of funding, particularly for green affordable housing, is continuing to build. And so there will be more to come in the future. And we are prepared to take full advantage of what's coming down the pipeline. We are set up for success because we have these things in place, because we have a mayor and leadership that is committed to achieving these goals and maintaining these goals. And I am now very excited to turn the podium and mic over to one of our great leaders, particularly leading the housing, our housing goals, DHCD Director Colleen Green.
Good morning again, everyone. And thank you, Mayor Bowser, for your leadership and investments in affordable housing. Without that, none of this would have been possible. This is a testament to your dedication and promise to the residents of DC to invest in communities across the city. Because of your foresight and bold vision, the district is at the forefront of investment and the creation of affordable housing in the nation. The challenge you issued has been met. We've invested more than $1.3 billion into the Housing Production Trust Fund, and 36,000 units have been developed in the district. We've produced more than 9,800 affordable housing units, with 2,500 units under construction. But let me assure you, we are not done yet. Thank you to everyone who has played a part in bringing us to this day: government, housing providers, developers, lenders, and consultants. We appreciate our housing partners and developers who share our passion and commitment. To do this work, it helps to have partners just as committed as we are. I want to especially thank Deputy Mayor Nina Albert and the DEMPED team, Executive Director Chris Donald and the DC Housing Finance Agency, Tricia Miller and the DC Green Bank team, Executive Director Keith Pettigrew and the DC Housing Authority, and Director Anita Cosart in the Office of Planning. We all deserve a round of applause. Also, I want to acknowledge my team at DHCD, where each and every day we are focused on our primary goals of producing and preserving affordable housing units in communities across the district, along with promoting community development. We do this by providing gap financing through unique financing structures for affordable housing construction and preservation. Some of the tools we use to accomplish this mission are the Housing Production Trust Fund, the Housing Preservation Fund, low-income housing tax credits, tax-exempt bonds, and community development block grants. When it comes to affordable housing, DHCD is not only investing in bricks and mortar, but we're also empowering residents and revitalizing neighborhoods with local and federal resources. Ultimately, it is the residents in the neighborhoods across the district who will shape its character, energy, and sense of community. There are more DHCD units under construction than before, and we're observing a balanced distribution of projects in our pipeline. Ridgecrest Phase 2 in Ward 8, H.R. Crawford Gardens in Ward 7, the Emblem Noma Union Market Project in Ward 6, Edgewood Commons in Ward 5, Ricks Crossing Senior Residences in Ward 4, the Lisner Home in Ward 3, and the Carl F. West Estates in Ward 1. DHCD has an exciting announcement on the horizon. We will announce the recipients selected for our consolidated request for proposals for affordable housing projects. This RFP was tailored to address economic vacancies and challenges within the housing ecosystem that affordable housing partners are currently facing. So stay tuned for our announcement and for more information to come. Thank you to everyone for being here and being part of this amazing journey. And now I'll introduce Sarah Mohammed.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Mohammed, Vice President of Development at W.C. Smith and the Project Executive for the Terrace Manor project. W.C. Smith acquired the property in 2017 in cooperation with the Tenant Association. The D.C. Office of the Attorney General had sued its former owner over a long-running pattern of neglect, dangerous living conditions, and extensive housing code violations. 13 families remained when we assumed the project. The project was in such bad shape, one family had to live in a hotel when we acquired the property. We moved them to the apartments that met their needs in other W.C. Smith properties. We involved them in our plans to redevelop, reimagine a new Terrace Manor. 2 years ago, We razed 12 rundown buildings that remain at the site. Today, the new Terrace Manor comprises 130 of all affordable 1, 2, 3-bedroom units, 15% of which will be accessible. Rents are based on 30, 50, and 60% MFI. The buildings feature modern systems and amenity spaces, including a gym, business center, community garden, and a 24-hour front desk. Terrace Manor has solar panels, a green roof, and is designed to be LEED Gold. Terrace Manor would not have been possible today without the partnership between W.C. Smith and the Bowser administration. So thank you. We worked together to build affordable housing for our community. We received Housing Production Trust Fund and support from the D.C. Department of Housing and Community Development, as well as tax-exempt bonds and permanent loan from D.C. Housing Finance Agency. The project received federal and D.C. low-income housing tax credits. Mayor Bowser, we at W.C. Smith are proud that Terrace Manor is one of the projects that helps you reach your goal of producing 36,000 new housing units in the district. Thank you. Thanks to your leadership and your support of your administration, the former residents are returning to a community that they deserve, a place that they can call home. Those who have toured the property thus far are thrilled and amazed by what they saw. Mayor, I'd like to present you with the momentum of this occasion. This is an engraved brick from the original building that we tore down. Yes, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, fantastic. Thank you, Terrace Manor, and thank you for your commitment to affordable housing in the district. So we've talked about a lot, very important investments and partnerships, and we outlined our path to the 12,000 goal by next year, and we have promised to keep working on new goals. So that kind of sums up what we've been doing for the last 5 years in the affordable housing space, and we're going to keep pushing. We'll take a few press questions, and we'll stick around if there are any community questions.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor. This is Felicia from WJLA. And this is for yourself, the deputy, and/or the development team. I know you guys mentioned there were 13 residents still there. Do you know if all 13 will be returning as well?
We've reached out to all of them. They have not all reached back out, but we have invited them all to come back.
So the question was the 13 families that were mentioned, will they return to the property? And W.C. Smith says they've completed outreach, or they've done outreach, and they can return should they choose.
Hey, Mayor. Michael
Yes.
from the Washington Post. You've talked about the Housing Production Trust Fund investment a lot today, but what other strategies go into such rapid housing production that makes us a regional leader? Like, what's worked? How has this been possible?
Well, I think, and we can't downplay, and I have noticed that since I made the pledge some 10 years ago that we would invest at least $100 million from our Housing Production Trust Fund each and every year, that consistency of investment has sent the signal to our investment partners, our development partners, that the district is the place to invest your money and build your projects. So these teams went out, found great projects, got financing for great projects, and built those projects. So I've always believed that consistency has allowed us to build a bench of projects and teams that can implement them. And I think that's been very important. So we actually exceeded our promise. We said we would do at least $100 million for every year, and in some years, especially during the COVID years where we had an influx of federal dollars, we were able to do more. So now what all of these very smart people that you've heard from are working on is how can we do more with less? Because those same dollars aren't available. And when we see less movement in real estate, actually we have even more stress on our Housing Production Trust Fund. We also know an affordable housing market is really stressed right now. So all of these very smart people are thinking about how we stabilize it in addition to producing more units. So I talked about one thing. Let me turn to Colleen, who she can tell you another perspective of why we've been able to do it when others haven't done as much.
Thank you so much. I think everything that the mayor said obviously is correct in terms of all the planning also that has been put into it, all the different neighborhood planning efforts that have been made, the zoning changes that have been made, the different types of productions that have been done, the RFPs that have gone out. So every aspect of affordable housing or production of affordable housing has really been put on steroids in the district, right, in order to meet the goal. So there's the commitment that has been made here is par none in the nation. So I think that's really, really what it is. And plus we have an excellent team at DHCD that has been working with partners to underwrite projects, working with HFA to make sure that we have the bond financing that we need to produce affordable housing, and also really working on preservation as well. We are the foremost that have, you know, the TOPA program, First Right to Purchase program, and SAFI programs that help people stay in place with naturally occurring affordable housing. So all of that together helps us meet the goal. And then of course our IZ program, that every time a new building is built, we have affordable housing that's part of that as well. All of this makes us leaders in the nation in producing affordable housing.
I should, and we should add, the people of Washington, D.C. want affordable housing. And when projects get tough, as they do, when you talk about development, we have people, D.C. residents, who stand up and fight for it. So I want to say thank you, Washington, D.C. residents. All right, I'll take a couple more. Yep, one more.
You also brought up the importance of variety in the types of housing as well, and all the different aspects that played into this success. Has there been any discussion to also increase home ownership as well and affordable homes? I know that's a challenge as well.
No, for sure. And you heard the deputy mayor mention that we need to produce housing across the spectrum. And this sometimes gets sticky, and it's not always easy politically to talk about, but we do need housing for people who make over 60% of the AMI. Those are our teachers, our firefighters, our police officers, our government workers. And so the government should be a part of that. So we continue, the Housing Production Trust Fund is not that tool, but we continue to look for ways to encourage more single-family home construction and ownership. This is the thing that I know. When there is a newly constructed home in the district, a single-family home, they go like hotcakes. And so we know that people are looking for that product, and we want to be able to deliver it in Washington, D.C. And here's the other thing that I know, that people, they have choices. They can move in a lot of different neighborhoods and a lot of different jurisdictions, but they want great transportation, great parks. You know, we have the #1 park system in the country, and our metro system is clean and safe and has grown more ridership than any, second only to New York City in growing ridership since the pandemic. 26 million people visit Washington, D.C. Every year. You know, that's the size of Florida. That many people are coming to Washington, D.C. every year to see our monuments, memorials, in museums. So we compare very favorably when people are making their choices. So if we can provide them the product that they're looking for in terms of their home, then we're going to keep growing as a city, and that's what we look forward to. So thank you, everybody, and thanks for your help.